one. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to Love Yourself Fiercely. I am very, very excited to introduce today's guest, Denise Wester. When Denise found herself as a young single mom on welfare, not knowing where they would sleep the next day, she got courageous and busted through to make a better life for herself and her family. Denise has been through a ton of things, but she is now a certified life coach, and she is passionate about helping you overcome the stories that hold you back, discover your passion, clear up the clutter in your life, and dig deep to find courage to take action in your life's vision. And beyond that, she is the author of Busting Through. Denise, I'm so excited you're here today. I cannot wait for you to share your story with us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much. Good morning.
Good morning. Why don't you start by telling us your version of how it all began and where you knew in your life that self-love had to become a priority?
Oh, yes. Well, I was raised in a restrictive religion, and that just always made me feel like I didn't belong. I was being judged, and I never felt like did it right, did enough. And so that started me on the journey of finding my voice again as an adult, being raised in that. I finally left the religion as an adult, was married, and discovering myself along that journey of being in a marriage that I was just chasing and trying to make it work and wasn't working. And I found myself divorced, bankrupt, moving around 12 times in 1 year, just trying to find a home and for my four children and me. So I ended up on welfare and just feeling like I had just failed and embarrassed because found myself on welfare. And then I busted through and I became courageous because I wanted to be an example for my children. And I knew I wanted a better purpose for my life, and I had a better vision for my life than to do what I was told by the welfare office, is to just, hey, we're taking care of you now. This is all you can do. You have no education. You have nobody to watch the kids. So you are where you should be, is on welfare. And then later in life, I got a great job and was passionate about it. And I had a severe car accident that took several years of rehabilitation, so much pain, so much therapy, so many doctors, and no answers. And I, found the doctor that gave me the answers, and I was able to rehabilitate myself. And, life has given me many pivots. And that is where I came up with the methods and strategies to get out of these situations. This kind of stuff is going to keep happening in life. It doesn't mean that after you figure it out, okay, everything's golden now. No, what happens is that you are in control of your life. You are in control and growing through these pivots, and you have the strategies, you have the methods to see you through. So they're just bumps in the road, and you're managing it and you're moving forward instead of life managing you.
I love that. And you're absolutely right. I talk about this with my clients and on my platforms and in this podcast all of the time. Life doesn't stop happening. And that's why our journeys are evolution and growth over a lifetime. That's why it's always evolving, because as we grow, life's going to throw things at us, and we have to pivot, and we have to adapt, and we have to embody what it is that we desire for this life as we navigate the pivots. So you have been through a ton of things in your life, and clearly are on the other side of that and living out a lot of your passions. But when you were raising your children and on welfare, at what point did you decide this is not my life and I will do something different?
Oh, yeah. Well, like I said, when I called the welfare office, and they were like, I was like, okay, I got my kids were settled. I'm going to call the welfare office and say, hey, is there some sort of program I can get on to kind of click down and get me off of this and support me? And it's like, no, there isn't. You don't have a degree. You're not going to be able to make money. And I just got off that phone, and it's like, no, this is not where I want to be. No, this is not the message I want for my children. I was raised by a welfare mother, and that was the message I had through my entire life. You can't do this, you can't do that. We can't afford it. We can't afford it. I was fixed income. No, you can't go to college. No, it's because we have no money. And I did not want that message to be for my children. And I was so alone at the time. It was just me raising these kids, and we made a great little family. We're each other. But that is where I started journaling and just, finding myself, finding my voice just between myself and myself with the
Yeah.
journaling page, and getting the strength, getting those stories that were holding me back out. And that is where I started finding the strength. And I finally found this program. It was called a Women in Transition program. It was at the local college, and it was met every single Saturday, and they had daycare for the kids. So I brought the kids there, and we went into these meetings, and it was so powerful because I was there with other women who were even in worse situations. They were hiding because they were abused, and just all these different people in different transitions, other welfare mothers like me, and women who were married for 60, years. It's like 60 years old, and they'd raised their family. They supported their husband. And he came home one day and said, "I'm done with the marriage. You're on your own." And she had never worked a day in her life, but take care of her family. And all their stories, it's like we connected and we support each other. And that just started me making the baby steps, taking the steps forward for my growth, taking responsibility for my life and for making a better life for my children.
I love that. There's a few components there I want to highlight. One is community, right?
Yes.
I am a huge advocate for female community with where women inspire and empower each other to rise together, both in our struggle and in our strength, right? It's like we need to turn to one another and say, I've got you, so that we become this energetically aligned force to be reckoned with. And it sounds like you had that. Instead of being put in a situation where you were judged for your current situation, your current circumstances, you were in community with other women who weren't accepting that as their reality. They wanted better. They were striving to be better. And that is so powerful and so incredible. And another thing that I really want to highlight is that you never quit. You figured out how to journal. You figured out how to create vision. You figured out how to create purpose for yourself, and then found a way, found a program, found support. It sounds like you never stopped moving forward. And that's such a powerful thing for our listeners to pay attention to, because sometimes when it feels heavy, sometimes when it feels hard, it's easier to just quit. It's easier to just say, well, this is the shitty hand I've been dealt, so we're just going to stay here. But it sounds like you never did that.
That's correct. And, and it's so important, as you said, to always be growing. You need to always be growing. It might seem hard at the time. It's like, I could have gotten off the phone from the welfare. So, okay, I'm being taken care of for the rest of my life. We don't have to do a thing anymore. I can be happy with my $300 a month and my $70 worth of food stamps. And that's just going to be it.
Yeah.
And I could have, at the time of my car accident, the doctor gave me a choice. He goes, okay, you're going to manage the pain for the rest of your life with these pills. I have a whole deck of cards of prescriptions for you, or you can get stronger, get it, and I chose to get stronger. And, and that was hard. That was so painful. That was so hard. But that first step, and it's just you make that first step to be growing, and then it does get easier. Actually, the first step in making that decision, because your body is meant to, we have fear as a protective method for our body to not be doing dangerous things. But when we let that fear take over, when there's things for us to grow and move, that's where we need to challenge that and grow and make that decision, taking action. And once you take action, it actually gets better because it inspires you. It's like, yes, I did this. Yes, I just went through that physical therapy session that day at the gym, and I feel better now. I moved. I was able to put one foot in front of the other, and I see some results. So you can do it.
It's so funny because I was just going to ask you, where your confidence to persevere came from. And you just said it before I could answer. It's like every time you take a step into fear, towards fear, through fear, your confidence grows. You get excited because you've overcome. And it is so interesting how much fear really takes over our life, or when we allow it. But it's a physiological response to cavemen times when
Yes.
we actually had to be fearful of life or death situations. And now that's not, for a lot of us, not a reality. Our fear surfaces from the mind. And, I always say we have to step through the fear. It's
Yes.
the moment you take that step into the fear is the way to get through it and way to get over it and build your confidence and know what you're capable of. And yeah, I love that you always continue to rise every time the world threw you a curveball.
Yes.
So let's talk about busting through. Tell me how busting through came to be.
Well, I my writing journey actually started about 9 years ago. My friend and I, one of my girlfriends, she and I just love really good wine, and we would go into all these wineries and learning things, doing, flight school, where you get a bunch of flights of wine.
Yeah.
It's not about airplanes. And we're going through and just educating our wine. And my friend, she goes one day, let's write a blog. And I'm like, no, I don't write. I flunked English in school. I couldn't sit in structure. No way. So I'm like, okay, fine. I'm passionate about this. We wanted to share. I was passionate about it. So that kind of exercised my muscle to making that step forward to start hearing my voice about something I was passionate about and getting it out there, and expressing myself in that vehicle. And so then I got about 4 or 5 years ago, I was in a spin class, and the door to the gym was right there. And Dust Bunny comes rolling in and stops right in front of my bike and stops, turns around, and then leaves and goes away. And I just started laughing. I go, that is so funny. That would be such a cute character for a children's book. So I wrote a story, and I got it out, and I just had the story that's like I just put together, and I got a illustrator, and we published this book, and I got it on Amazon. And so that exercised that muscle again. It's like, okay, I figured out how to do a self-published book on Amazon. And so again, just taking that step forward with that little voice inside of you, with a little idea, and just getting it out there. I had no thinking. Wasn't going to market it. It's just, I had this idea. I wanted to see it through. And so about in 2018, I was just like, had this inspired action to say, I'm going to write down all these methods that have, and strategies that have gotten me through all these things in my life, the multiple job pivots and the accident and welfare and being a single mother and going through divorce, going through a toxic marriage and bankruptcy and losing everything. And so I just like, okay, I'm going to write this down. So I did. I just outlined it all out, and I wrote it all down. And the next year, that was in 2018, the next year I was in a trip to wine tasting in Santa Barbara with my daughter, and we were with my niece, her cousin. And I said out loud, I'm going to write a personal development book with these strategies that I've put together. And she's like, yes, you should do that, Denise. You are so inspiring. You should been so much. So I put it out there. So that, to me, I said it out loud because I knew when I say something, I follow through with it.
Yeah.
That's a rule I've made for myself. I always have these visions. I always have these ideas. And the rule I make for myself is I follow through. So that's what I did. I told her that. And so I was like, shoot, I just said that now I have to follow through on that. And so when this COVID hit, and I had my outline for the book. I was like, I made a goal. I was unemployed. I made a goal. After I get up in the morning, I'm going to do my meditation, and I'm going to write. I'm going to go up to my office and write every single day. And that was really, really hard, because at first I was like, creativity is a muscle you have to exercise. And I had not exercised it. So I just said, okay, I'm just going to start fixing my sentences, rewriting the chapter headings. And every single day it just started coming through. So just data dumping, all this creativity. And because I would start, riding my bike again outside, because I couldn't go to spin class at the gym. And I just got inspired out in nature, and I got more inspired with my meditation. And I was just having so much fun getting all this out of my head. And so that's how Busting Through came through. And then I knew I had to finish this and get it out there to help. But first it was like I was stuck, because it's like, I can't talk about being on welfare. There was so much shame. And
Yeah.
I can't talk about the religion, because there is the mind game still going on from the religion. It's like, you don't talk about this. You don't, dish on the religion. And so I had to work through that and unpack that. And then I did that by knowing, if my story, these methods could just help that one woman that was me years ago, or that would be fulfilling for me. If there's just one person that knew that they were looking for that fork in the road. They were looking for that arrow pointing them, do this. And that's what I hope, you buy the book, that one person hopefully hearing this, that needs to take that action. And so that's what my goal, my vision is for this.
That's so exciting. And congratulations. I know how hard it is to write a book. I have been trying to finish my book for a long time, and it's like, the overthinking and the shame, but I too tell myself the exact same thing. And I did from day one. If this helps one woman,
yes,
on her journey, one woman on her path, know that her life can forever be changed when she decides to put one foot in front of the other, then it's all worth it. So I want to congratulate you on your book.
Thank you.
I will link it's on Amazon, right?
Correct.
I will link that in the show notes. And tell us, is there anything else? Like, you're also a life coach. What is your specialty in life coaching? Who do you help?
Well, when I got my certification as a life coach, my purpose was to support my community that I'm developing here with the book. So I am, for those who purchase my book, get to be on a private Facebook page. You just send a picture of yourself with the book to pr@denisewester.com, and then you'll get invited to a closed group. And I got my life coaching certification and skills because I want to support that group. I don't want you just to buy my book and it's like, hi, thank you very much. I want to be there to support those women, and we can collaborate, help you through the stories. If you have your wins, we all are there to celebrate them. We are all there to help you with the challenges. And especially that's what I wanted the tools to be able to help my community that we are putting together. As I said, I had that community for me very early on, and it just inspired me to take that up a notch and continue that, and support my community that I'm going to be developing with Busting Through.
That's fantastic. If you had one more piece of advice for a woman listening who feels inspired, what would you tell her? What would you say to her to make sure that she knew that she was capable of anything?
Oh, first off, you got to start with, loving yourself, and doing your self-care to know that you can do this. You can take that one step forward. There's nothing in this life that you cannot do. Listen to that little voice inside, that the environment around you and that the big voice is telling you can't do. Start listening to your own inspired action, and you can do it. You are loved, you are beautiful, and you are powerful.
I love that so much. Okay, one last question before we wrap this up, because no guest gets away without me asking this question. In my world, we talk a lot about limiting beliefs and false beliefs and negative thought patterns. And I ask every guest this, and you'll know why once I ask it. What is one limiting belief or false belief that continues to surface for you? And what strategy do you have now to navigate yourself back into alignment quicker than you did in the past?
Oh, that's good. Because, I went through that with doing this book. That one limiting belief is that I heard all the time when I was a child is that you're stupid.
Mm,
Because when I was doing this book, I was so inspired with the creativity part of it and the creation and the writing, but I had these blocks with doing the formatting, the cover art, all the things to the technology part that's so important with getting the book marketed these days. And so it's like I had to stop myself once that voice is like, nope, I'm hiring somebody to do the formatting. I'm hiring somebody, an editor, to double check, my grammar and double check, things. And I'm hiring the book artist. And that was just so, I stopped myself immediately when I heard that voice. It's like, oh, you can't do this. You're stupid. It's like, no way. You are smart. You can do this. And so that is something that you have to exercise from the past, and that the voice of that from the childhood that come creeping back. And I
mm,
have exercises in my book that do that. And I went immediately and did my affirmations and worked through the strategies in my book to that when that voice came back up. And so you can do anything, like I said, you want, and you got to stop those big voices that keep creeping back. And I have the
mhm.
methods for that in my book.
That's awesome. Denise, thank you so much for being here. Share your favorite place to hang out, your social media, so all of our listeners and also, I guess, people who are watching this when we repurpose the video content can head over and give you a follow or add you as a friend. What is your favorite platform?
I'm on Instagram as Denise R. Wester. And of course, Facebook is Denise Wester. Yes.
Awesome. And that will also be linked in the show notes. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for
You're
sharing your
beautiful.
light with us.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And to my listeners, I hope you love yourself fiercely and fully today and every day. See you on the next episode.